Welcome to PCS with Military.com. I'm your host, Amy Bouchatz, Military.com's executive editor. On this podcast, we talk about everything you need to know to make this military move season your best yet. PCS with Military.com is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. No matter where you are in your military career, Navy Federal Credit Union has the products and resources to help you navigate your finances. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission. Now, let's get this PCS started. Moving well and happily with the military is a skill set with two parts. There are things that take practice over time, like home organization, keeping that military moving paperwork and binder together, and figuring out the most effective way to find new housing that you can love. And then there are the things that just take straight up knowledge. Things like understanding working through your finances around your move and the big project of dealing with the PCS rules and regulations from the Department of Defense. Those rules and regulations can seem like a foreign language, especially if you feel like you've been left alone to figure them out. Even the best transportation office briefing in the world may leave you feeling like there are many, many things you don't know but should. And for that, today we have Matt Butler. Matt retired from the Air Force in 2019 after 22 years in uniform, a lot of which he spent working with the military and DoD civilian personal property and the various offices that help military members and their moves. Since then, he's moved to Transcom, first as a contractor and now as a DoD civilian employee. In short, this guy knows what he's talking about, and I am so glad he's here with us today. Matt, welcome to PCS with Military.com.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on with us. So start by telling us, you were in the Air Force a long time. How many times have you moved with or even without the military?
Okay, with the military, it's been about 10 times, which includes PCSs, so permanent change of stations, and also local moves where you're moving off base to on base. So that with those moves, moving overseas to England or to Germany, and stateside assignments such as Georgia and Massachusetts, and also Illinois and some other locations.
Yeah, so you got around.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know how to move.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So the beauty of that is like you are working in the property office, personal property office, helping military members and DoD civilians, aka customers,
Right.
deal with their military moves, but you also are experiencing it too.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. And that kind of feeds into like how, if I see some issues, then definitely the customers are seeing it as well. So when we're going to briefing customers, we're definitely want to, detail, things that they may see in the future and how to handle those situations as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's really exactly how I approach my job at Military.com, too, because I'm a military spouse and I'm a system user. And I think, well, if I'm experiencing this, someone else must be, too. So that's such a important insight for people to know that, they're not alone in the wilderness. Someone out there is dealing with this and they've been through it.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Okay. So I want to just dive in here, no beating around the bush. What are 2 or 3 of the biggest mistakes you've seen military members or customers make in their move?
Okay. Well, one of them is definitely not being prepared, such as once the military member or civilian or the customer gets their orders, taking it over to the transportation office to start the move. That is very, very important. In my time, I've seen a lot of customers that will come in maybe a week or 2 with their orders and try to make a move. Now, while that may be possible, that is not the process. You want to get your orders into the transportation office so they can start your move, get the carrier situated, have you give the customer information about their move, and have it flow properly. When you wait to the last minute, especially in the summertime, more than likely you're not going to get the dates that you want to have, because in the summertime, 40 to 60% of all household goods shipments are happening within that time. So regardless if it's the summertime or which is called the peak season, because a lot of the shipments are happening then, or the non-peak season, you want to make sure as soon as you get those orders, you go into your transportation office so that they can process your shipment. That's very important. Um,
So, and there's a big difference between I have orders that I got today and they say I'm supposed to move in 2 weeks, and I got my orders and then I waited a super long time to come and talk to y'all and get this set up.
Exactly, definitely, because a lot of people may not know the process. A lot of back in the day, a lot of personal property offices used to be able to book the shipments right then and there. Now you're dealing
Mm,
and currently the counseling office, that's called a PIPO, which is a personal property processing office. They process your shipment, dealing with the paperwork. So they're dealing with the customer, but then they have to send that paperwork over to a GIPSO, which is a joint personal property shipping office. That's your booking office. And they have a large area of responsibility. So it's not going to get booked as fast. And also, your capacity for carriers can be a lot lower too. So the sooner that you get that information over to your counseling office, the faster that they can get it to the GIPSO office,
yeah,
and then the faster they can be booked so that you can, make arrangements to, maybe plan to move out your house or make your other plans that you need to do for your move as well. So it's very, very important.
right.
As soon as you get those orders, to go to your counseling
Yeah.
office. Mhm.
Get that ball rolling. Okay, what
Exactly.
are what are some other things?
Another thing is okay, once your shipment is already booked. Now when the movers come over to your house, it's very important that you have things that you do not want moved separated from the things that you do want moved. So, that's a big thing. If you have things that need to be safeguarded, like your passport, any kind of jewelry, any important documents such as family medical records or dental records, or even photo albums, things that you just want to take with yourself because you would hate if it got lost or damaged. It's very important that you have that separated from the things that you
Mm,
do want to get moved because, um, you know, it's a big hassle if you are, and it can cost money as well if you're trying to get that taken out of uh, a shipment. So that's very important just to
right,
have that separated.
right.
Other things are like your professional books, paper, and equipment. That's called your pro gear. So things that you use for your profession, you want to make sure that that's separated as well. And the reason for that being separated, that's free weight. That's weight that doesn't count against your joint travel regulation weight entitlement. So you want to make sure that that's
Mm-hmm.
separated and annotated on your inventory as being pro gear. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like to separate my coffee maker. Is
Yes,
that weird?
that's not weird. That's something that you're going to need as your next place. So it's definitely, you want to have that separated so you can
My
bring it.
next place.
Very important.
It's something I need right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, forget the next spot. This is like a today problem.
Right.
And also your cat, separate the cat. Do not let the cat be in the box spring
Right.
because it cannot tell you how many times I've heard this story and it
Mhm.
does not have a good ending.
Exactly. Yeah. And then one last thing I would say is just preparing your home as well. So, making sure that you don't have trash or additional things, not necessarily things that you want to take with you, but definitely things that you don't want to have packed. So just making sure that it's clean, that it's organized, just so the movers can get in there, do what they need to do, pack it up, and get out of there without because if you have things that you don't want to have shipped, that weight will count against you. If you exceed your
Yeah.
joint travel regulation weight entitlement, then you will have to owe the government for that. So definitely have things that you want to have moved. That's a very important thing that I've noticed that customers sometimes make mistakes with.
I mean, we've all, I think, unpacked something that we were like, well, how did that get in there? You
Exactly.
know? And I mean, I've even more often than somebody accidentally having their cat packed is the horror story of unpacking some very old and not very good smelling trash.
Exactly.
And it happens,
Hmm.
and the only way to make sure it's not going to happen is to go through your house and take out all your trash.
Exactly.
Um, Yeah, because let's not assume that our packing team is looking in every bin before, it's just like it's not reasonable.
Exactly.
So there you
Mhm.
go.
Yeah, and another thing, if
Oh,
you're moving overseas, it can take 2.5 months for your shipment to get to the destination. If you have trash in there, it's going to be a bad situation when you receive it.
yes. Yeah, that's where the cat thing comes in. I'm sorry to
Exactly.
report. I gotta fill people in about this because I keep mentioning it now. I mean, people have lost their pets this way over the Rainbow Bridge, shall we say,
Yes.
because the cat goes missing on moving day, and the cat is still missing, and the cat is still missing, and then you find it when you unpack, and nobody wants that to happen to anybody else ever.
Exactly.
Um, and cats get spooked. They hide in your mat, box spring, whatever. So secure your kids, secure your pets, secure
Yes.
your trash.
Very, very important. Very important.
All right. So I see consistent questions in these military move Facebook groups that I know people are just itching to have answered. So I'm hoping you can just address them for us, little fire drill style, if you will.
Okay,
What do you think? All right.
let's do it.
Okay, so the first is, and I confess, y'all, this is partially my fault because I'm the one who reported this and started I'm not going to call it a rumor because it was actually told to me, but then it was untold and that didn't get out. So in 2018, Transcom officials told me that military members would have the option to have their household goods sealed in crates at their home for all moves, and then that didn't happen. Is that something that could happen eventually?
Yes, definitely. Code twos, which is a crated shipment. So
Hmm.
it's still an option, but there's definitely criteria that needs to be met, and I can go through basically a list of what they are. So
Tell us what we
basically,
need to know.
what you need to know is for code two, you do not you have to criteria to that you have to meet is that you do not have a delivery address.
Hmm.
You require storage in transit. So basically, storage, once it gets to the destination, your shipment is traveling more than 800 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Your shipment does not contain extra large items that will not fit into a container. And those are items such as motorcycles or oversized mattresses. Um, if you move between 1 October and 14 May, your shipment cannot exceed 3,000 pounds. And if your move is between 15 May and 30 September, your shipment cannot exceed 10,000 pounds. But the thing is, if your shipment does not meet the criteria that I just went over, you may still request a container, but you may have to pay excess cost for it. But your local transportation office can definitely assist you with this.
Cool. So it is an option, but within very specific parameters.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for listing those out for us. I think that will help people understand what they are, what's available and what's not. Okay. People are confused about whether they can pre-pack rather, their items before the movers get there. Because for a while it was like, oh, if you pack them, then they don't have to take them and they can unpack them. And now that sort of maybe changed. I don't know. Fill us in. What's the rule?
Okay. In regards to that, customers can pre-pack, but they should definitely keep the lid open because at the end of the day, the
Hmm.
packers they will need to inspect the items to determine the condition and repack just for liability reasons as required. So they can pack it, but just keep it open so that the movers can inspect the items and maybe it's a not a good box and they need to repack it. So that's the rule on that.
Yeah. So it's a combo. It's not you can't do it and they won't accept it if you do that.
Right.
And it's also not um you can do it and they'll just take it away and have a nice day. It's somewhere in between.
It is. Because the movers they're required to pack everything. So, but I know I do it myself when I'm about to move. I'll pack it inside of a box, just so it's easier for me. I know where things are, but definitely keep that lid open because, like I say, it's a liability thing. If you say that you pack something in a closed box and it gets to a destination and now you can't find it, it's a liability thing. So it's definitely important to just keep that box open, but you can have your stuff in the box.
Yeah. We have a podcast episode with a home organizational expert, Kristin Curtis, who likes to pre-pack in clear plastic totes.
Hmm.
And she leaves they're easily opened, and then of course they're either put in a box or wrapped in paper or something.
Right.
They do a lot of Oconus moves. She's this season doing actually an Oconus to Oconus move, and so she has home organizational ninja'd this process to allow her to unpack more easily, just like you said.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So, all right, this is a big one because it's a source of recent I'm not going to say controversy, speculation, a change, what's going on. Should families tip their movers or feed them lunch? What and fill us in on what happened with the recent I'm not even going to say it's a rule change because it was a FAQ change. I don't know what's going on. Tell us about it.
Okay, to answer this question, no. Supplying meals or refreshments is never required. And moreover, providing monetary tips is discouraged. And if your TSP
Hmm.
requests either, please let your local transportation office know. Now, remember, you have a quality assurance person that works at that transportation office or counseling office that you can always reach out to if you see something that's wrong, or even if you have any kind of questions, just reach out to that person. That person is there to make sure that you have a quality move. So, but to answer your question, no, it's not required.
So why is a monetary tip discouraged?
It's discouraged because it turns into, okay, I got a tip. Maybe now I'm just speaking just off of my mind. I got a tip of my
Mhm.
last move. Speaking from maybe the mover's mind, and it turns into a expectation. So,
Mm.
but it's
Mhm.
definitely not a requirement at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally love to eat lunch. So
Right.
I figure other people also love to eat lunch.
Hmm.
And I also know that, and I've heard other military family members say this, that there's a concern that if I don't feed my movers or even tip them, that they're going to break my stuff on purpose. Um, and I can see how people get there, but can you address that? Like, should people be afraid of that?
No, if they have any concerns, again, that's when you get to go speak to your quality assurance person. But you should not have the fear of your things being broken or stolen because you don't feed your movers. That is not a
Yeah.
requirement. The transportation service providers, they have the same rules that we're speaking about. So it's not a
Hmm.
expectation, but like I said, it's never required for that. You should not feel that I have to do this at all.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for putting us to
No problem.
putting us to ease on that. Let's pull over for a break to thank our sponsor. PCS with Military.com is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. They might be called Navy Federal, but they don't exclusively serve sailors. Serving all members of the armed forces, they have the products and resources to help support you with your next move. So, even if you can't tell port from starboard, they'll still help you learn about mortgages and auto loans. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission, an equal housing lender. Now, back to the show. What recent rule or regulation changes should people know about as they navigate this 2021 moving season? What's new, what's different? Tell us what we need to know.
Okay, I'll go over a few of them for you. So one is
Awesome.
the 7-day spread window is a new rule which provides more certainty for customers when scheduling their move. The spread date refers to the window, which is 7 calendar days within which your moving company must pick up your shipment. So that is definitely a good thing
Mm,
because it gives the customer more clarity of when their shipment will be picked up. So that's a real good move
hmm.
that has changed this year for the customer.
So how was it before? I mean, what is that a change from? What
Okay,
were
so
people experiencing before?
well, especially in the summer times, a lot of locations will have their preferred days, and sometimes they will have to do a secondary preferred day. But having a 7-day window gives more flexibility for when the shipment is actually being booked by the booking office, and also for the transportation service provider or the movers when booking this shipment. So they are required to have your pickup date within those 7 days. So that's very important way of doing it now. So before, maybe they will have to go back and forth with days because maybe they didn't have the movers didn't have any availability to pick it up. So with this way, the transportation service providers, the counseling office, the booking office, and the customer are all involved in this, and basically they've agreed to make it happen during this time. So it works out best for them. So
Mhm.
that's
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, what else? What else has changed? What do people
okay.
need to know?
Another thing is a claims enhancement. So there's additional guardrails to ensure families are made whole faster. So customers choice to receive replacement if offered by the moving company, or full replacement. Now, previously, before that, it was just the TSP, the transportation service provider, or the moving company's choice on how the customer would be reimbursed or how their item
Mm,
would be replaced. So this way, there's an option, there's a choice for the customer. So that's really good. Also,
yeah.
under the claims enhancement, there's a 7-day response limit for the moving company to customer counter offers during the claims process. So now that you have that time standard where you're going to hear something back within 7 days. So that's really good. Also,
Yeah.
salvage deadlines to moving companies at 45 days from the inspection. Previously, it was 30 days after settlement. So that's really good for
Mm,
the customer as well. And repair firm deadlines. So moving companies must hire at 20 days and complete at 45 days from the claim. So that's a really good one as well.
yeah.
Mhm.
So what I hear you saying is a lot of changes to let people have more specific expectations about how they will be interacting with and hearing from their transportation provider after, specifically after the move for most of these.
Correct.
So your stuff is broken or your delivery's done or whatever. Maybe you have a little bit of damage. Maybe it's a lot. Maybe, hopefully it's none. But if you do, the process is very specific and designed to get you the answers that you need and really settle. I mean, we use the word settlement, for monetary, but really settle your life down
Right.
as quickly as possible.
Right, exactly. The main thing is just to improve that customer experience and make sure they have a quality experience for this. So a lot of these moves are definitely to make that better for the customer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Transcom, speaking of customers, Transcom uses a term customer responsibility, which means things that the military members and or their families need to know for working with the movers. One customer responsibility we already talked about is getting those orders to the office as quickly as possible. Can you give us some examples of other customer responsibilities with a move?
Sure, definitely. So, one customer responsibility that's very important is ensuring that they're at their residence at the time of delivery or pickup between 0800 and 1700. It's very important just
Mm,
to ensure that they're there for when the movers get there to deliver or pick up their or start packing their things. So that's very important. And another thing, if the customer is not there during those times and the movers try to deliver or start packing their things and have to leave, the customer can be charged for that attempted delivery or attempted pickup.
mm,
That's very important. Another thing is if you have any program, like I said earlier, ensuring that it's separated from your regular personal property, and also listed and making sure that it's listed on your inventory. It's a little tough to
hmm
go after the fact to try to prove that it's program, but if you're doing it at the beginning, then you won't have to worry about it at the end. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Another thing, if someone is acting on your behalf, and when I say that, I mean if you're not going to be at your residence to release your personal property or to receive your personal property, it's very important at the time of counseling that you identify who your releasing or receiving agent will be. and putting that in DPS. And maybe if something changes after your counseling, uh, you can either go back into your counseling office and try to update that, or you can do a power of attorney just to identify who will be releasing or receiving your personal property on your behalf. So that's an important thing.
Mm,
Um, ensure that any personal property that you have in attics or crawl spaces are removed prior to the packers arriving. So it's important prior to just making sure that you go up into your attic and go to your crawl space and taking those things down so that the movers can pack those for you.
mm,
Additionally, removing all wall-mounted items from the walls prior to the movers arriving is not the mover's responsibility to remove anything from walls. Also, they're not responsible for disconnecting your TVs if you have components connected to it, or your washing machines and dryers. So making sure that you're disconnecting or removing all those items prior to the movers arriving is very important. And also, let me see here. If we have like ensuring that you go through the house to ensure that everything that you want to have moved has been packed. So just walking around your house prior to the movers leaving, just to make sure that they packed up everything that you wanted. You don't want the movers to leave
mm-hmm.
and you're walking inside a closet and you see, this didn't get packed up. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I've definitely had that happen where I
yes,
open a cabinet and ta-da!
right,
There's all my stuff,
exactly.
you know?
So that's very important. And then just document any notice damages to the moving company as item. When you receive your items, and just making sure that when they come into your house and you notice any damages or you notice if something's missing, identify that with your movers at the time. If you notice it after the fact, you still can identify any loss of damages afterwards. But this is just to alleviate some of the stress that may happen. So definitely, these are some good customer responsibilities to,
Yeah.
to take care of during.
Yeah. And you can note that damage if you see something gets if you see something, say something.
Exactly.
If you see something get damaged on its way out of your house, you can note that at the time,
Right.
and have them. I mean, make sure it's written down on that inventory sheet right there. When we moved from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to Alaska several years ago, I watched the mover. Not on purpose, obviously, but damage my box spring. Like they ripped the bottom of it or something, right?
Right.
And I was able to say to the manager on site, who was also packing and moving stuff, hey, like, well, I noticed this. I'm sorry to tell you this. Can you write it down? And he was very cool about it and made sure it was noted. But I'm not sure 3 months later I would have, or whatever it was, right? It was a long time because we come into Alaska, that I would have noticed that
Right.
it had been ripped,
Yeah.
if I hadn't been watching them,
Right. And
you
that's
know?
very important because even with the inventory, a lot of customers think that they have to automatically sign a document if they don't agree with it, but even on if because when the movers are packing your things, they're going to write down the condition of your items as well. The thing is, if you don't agree with the condition that they stated that your items are in, there is a block on the inventory where you can say, for item 13, I do not agree with the condition that they
Mm,
put my property in for specific items or whatever, just so that that's noted, and then you can sign it.
hmm.
If you sign it saying, okay, you know this couch is totally damaged or whatever, you can
Right.
you can contest that basically.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so is there a top responsibility you find people are surprised by that they like just didn't know they're supposed to do, maybe until it's too late?
Right. So before you start moving into the house, customers should ask the movers to accompany them on a survey of the residents. This way, you
Hmm.
can point out and agree upon any pre-existing damage, if there's any. This includes stained carpets, damaged walls, and more. And once this has been noted, the movers can start unpacking the truck. The movers should also put down mats, plastic to protect the flooring near high traffic areas. In addition, movers are required to reassemble any furniture that was disassembled at the start of the move and unpack any or all boxes that you request. And this is often called a full unpack. Most members decide not to ask the movers for a full unpack, uh, as if they, if they prefer to put the items away on their own. And additionally, they will place items at the spot you designate only one time. So they're not going to be moving your personal property more than once. So you cannot tell the movers to put your bed on the third floor and then change your mind a few hours later and request it be put in the basement. So that's very important.
Yeah, so I want to note with that because I think there's a lot of fear for the unpack that, and because we've heard horror stories, whether it's rumors or actually happened to one person and then became
Yeah.
this bigger than life thing, right? That's totally a thing.
Mhm.
About the movers quote unquote unpacking your stuff and placing it on one surface called the floor,
Mhm.
and and not on one surface called the countertop or the cabinet you pointed to, right?
Right.
And so it makes it so that I don't want all of my stuff on the floor. Therefore, I will not be asking for this. But I could, if I'd known the rule or my responsibility to figure out where I wanted stuff, or the mover's responsibility and what that looked like, I could have saved everybody some trouble, and had the unpack done, or at least partially done,
Exactly.
before the movers ever left. And now, I have glasses in a cabinet, not on the floor, because that's not where anyone wants them.
Right.
And all is well. But for me, I find that actually to make that possible, walking through and using like painter's tape on cabinets, not necessarily for the movers, but for myself, decide where I want things. And so all things are possible when you know where your belongings are going to belong.
Exactly.
And then I love what you noted about the walking through the home and noting any damage, because man, I had not thought of that, first of all. And second of all, my goodness, if you're, I imagine, new to the home, right? You just moved there.
Right.
Uh, you may not even notice that damage beforehand because you just got there. And then the movers come in, all the stuff is in, they leave, and you're looking at, some banged up wall, wondering, was that there before? Did that get there today? I don't even know.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a thing. Okay. Uh let's speaking of damage, can you give listeners two or three insights into filing a claim, when you've experienced a lot of goods damage? There's small claims, there's big claims. Some are easier, some are harder. Walk us through.
Okay. Well, the first thing is definitely giving notice of loss or damage within the 180 days from the delivery date to your TSP, which is your transportation service provider. So that's very important just to initiate that piece of it. So you have the notice right there. The second piece is actually filing the claim. So you have 9 months from the delivery date to file your claim with your TSP. And a key part with that, the TSP must confirm receipt of your claim within 15 days. So that is very important. Another piece is, you're going to be working with your TSP to assess your claim. So, the TSP has 30 days to make an offer or deny liability for the claim for anything that's under $1,000. And then they have 60 days on the claim for anything that's over $1,000. And they must respond within 7 days. So that's really good. If they're going to be repairing the item, the TSP must hire a repair company within 20 days and have that company inspect the items within 45 days. And the final settlement. So the final settlement, or you can transfer to the military claims office. So you may settle the claim by accepting or rejecting in full or per item. So you must make the TSP providers are required to make the payment within 30 days and pick up any salvage items within 30 days after being deemed beyond repair. Another thing, you should never feel pressured. So only accept an offer that you feel completely satisfied. And if you're not satisfied, the other option I was talking about, the military claims office, you can consider contacting the military claims office if you're unhappy with the final offer or if the TSP has not communicated with you within 30 days. And I just want to add one last piece. So, an alternate filing option, which is called a quick claim settlement. So, if offered on delivery day, you may file paperwork in person with the transportation service provider to promptly resolve minor loss or damages. And those are items that does not exceed $1,000. And as the payment is made within 5 days of claim submissions, you may still file other claims or loss or damages discovered after delivery, excluding the item filed under the quick claim. So that's just another option for the customers, just to try to make sure that they're reimbursed for their items for any loss or damages
Yeah.
quicker
So
fashion.
so that's a good one to use if you watch something come off the truck, you immediately see that it's damaged, and maybe it's something you wish you could use right now,
Right,
right? I'm trying to think of my coffee maker. Oh
right,
boy. Okay, so that sucker comes off, and we can see she broken.
right,
Why did I let you pack this? Why didn't I bring this important thing with me? Who can
right.
say? But here it is. I have noticed it's damaged. I have reported it. I have done this quick claim process, and now I'm getting reimbursed essentially, or at least to the you know determined value for that item. And now I can go and replace it, and peace in our time because I have had my morning coffee.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And that's always if the transportation service provider, if they offer you that option. So that's definitely a good option for many customers.
So you've worked in this field a really long time. You know what you're doing. Based on these years of experience in the field, can you give us three or so best tips for military members and their families getting ready for a move? Tie it all in a bow for us.
Definitely. Okay. Well, the first one, and I said this earlier, it is very important that customers arrange their moves as soon as they get orders. And if possible, try to avoid moving during the summer peak season. During the summer peak season, about 40 to 60% of the yearly shipments occur during that time. Additionally, the 4th of July is a very, very busy time. So definitely avoid the 4th of July moving during that time. For my second one, if you don't agree with the conditions that the packers say that your property is in, ensure that you annotate it on your inventory. Never argue with your packers, and if you have any issues, make sure that you
Mm.
contact your local quality assurance inspector to assist. And if anything changes with your move, maybe your assignment has changed or anything that's going to affect your move, ensure that you contact your transportation office immediately. They are there to assist.
There to assist. Oh, thank you so much for this insight and this fun conversation today, Matt. It's been a pleasure to have you on PCS with Military.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to PCS with Military.com. You can get all of the military news and information you need delivered straight to your inbox by subscribing to Military.com at military.com/subscribe. A special thanks to our sponsor, Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. No matter where you are in your military career, Navy Federal Credit Union has the products and resources to help you navigate your finances. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission.